The town of Barrow, Alaska, is isolated in 80 miles of roadless wilderness. Once a year, it spends 30 days of winter in total darkness. Near this town, a stranger comes out of nowhere and, after seeing a ship in the distance, makes his way to Barrow. Sheriffs Evan and Billy find a pile of burnt phones buried in the snow, which is rather strange. After that, they take the opportunity to watch the last sunset they will have for a month. In town, people are getting ready to leave on the next plane. They fail to notice a mysterious figure sneaking into the local kennel and killing all the snow dogs there. The sheriff stopped to check on Bo, whose bulldozer is leaking gas all over the snow. Eben is about to find him, but suddenly they get a radio message that the dogs are dead. Eben's ex-wife Stella finishes work and takes the car to the airport. She is suddenly hit by a bulldozer which destroys her car. Stella calls Eben for help, but he wants to avoid her, so he sends Billy to pick her up. Billy takes Stella to the airport as fast as he can, but they still do not make it in time, so now Stella will have to stay in Barrow for a month. Eben goes to the kennel and finds a complete massacre, but the owner's ally and John cannot think of anyone who could hate them so much. Later, Eben returns to the police station, where his grandmother Helen and brother Jake are also working with him. They get another report of vandalism, so Eben goes to check it out. Carter and Wilson explain that someone destroyed their helicopter, which is usually kept under lock and key. At the radio station, Gus hears strange noises outside and goes to investigate, only to find that the lights are out. A group of mysterious figures suddenly surround him, but before Gus can react, these people jump on him and kill him for food. They turn out to be vampires. At the town diner, the stranger tries to order a raw hamburger and something to drink, but the waitress explains that the law does not allow alcohol to be sold during the month of darkness. The stranger starts to make a scene, but fortunately Eben and Stella are there and arrest him to take him to the station cell. A group of pipeline workers are finishing their day when one of them is suddenly pulled into the darkness. A few seconds pass before the worker's body falls to the snow, causing his friend to run away in panic. The third worker is frozen in fear, and the vampires take the opportunity to surround him. Eben tries to find out how the stranger snuck into their town, but the man refuses to answer. Suddenly, the internet goes down, and when Eben tries to call Gus, he finds that the phone lines are down as well. Just then, the entire town loses power, and the stranger announces that they are coming. Eben goes to the radio station to find out what is happening and finds a trail of blood, which he follows until he discovers Gus's head. Eben rushes into town and goes around telling everyone in town to stay indoors. At John's house, Ally is preparing dinner when suddenly a vampire bursts through the window and drags her outside. John hears her scream and goes to save her with his rifle. John tries again and even manages to grab Ally's hand, but the vampire is stronger and drags her away. In his cell, the stranger goes on and on about the end coming for everyone. Jake gets angry and throws a piece of his game at him. When Jake goes to retrieve the piece, the stranger takes the opportunity to attack him, but Eben arrives and shoots him in the arm. He then handcuffs the man to the cell door for questioning, but the stranger's only answer is that they are all going to die. Eben asks Helen and Jake to stay safe while he and Stella search for the criminal. Eben stops the car because he has seen something, but when Stella checks it out with her binoculars, she becomes frightened and urges Eben to get back in the car. But a vampire suddenly jumps over the car and Eben's bullets do no damage. Stella stops the car and drops the vampire. They see fires everywhere and hear gunshots. Helen radioed for help and they hurried back to the police station, but it was too late. Helen and Jake are gone. The stranger is still in his cell, complaining that they didn't catch him and asking Eben to help him finish the job. The vampires gather in town to listen to their leader, Marlowe. He reminds them that it is important to remove the heads of the victims to prevent them from turning into vampires as well. Then the vampires go on a murderous rampage through the city. Eben and Stella arrive and are relieved to see that Jake is okay, but unfortunately Helen did not make it. A woman points out that her neighbor has an attic with a hidden ladder and that the house was walled up before the owner left. Eben asks Carter to lead the group to the house while he and Stella distract the vampires. The two drive around town acting as decoys and the plan works. Soon a group of vampires hijack their car and try to attack them through the windows. But just then Bo arrives with his bulldozer and runs over the enemies. Eben and Stella rush to join him in the vehicle and drive away rather quickly until they reach the house with the attic. Eben tells the group that they will sleep in shifts and ration food. They have a good chance of surviving because they are used to the polar night, unlike the enemy. Meanwhile, Marlowe and Iris visit the stranger at the police station. They compliment the man for doing his job perfectly and promise to turn him, but when Marlowe hugs the stranger, he simply kills him. 6 days pass and the survivors manage to stay alive and well in the attic, although they sometimes have to deal with Isaac, Wilson's father, who dreams of his wife who died years before. Some of the survivors want to leave before they get caught, and when Stella and Eben point out that it is too risky, an argument ensues. Eben calms everyone down and reminds them that they must work as a team to survive. On the 7th day, the group hears Kristen running through the streets asking for help. The survivors insist on helping her, so Eben goes outside and discovers that John is also nearby, hiding under a house. Kristen is his priority and Eben asks John to wait, but unfortunately the distraction means that Eben does not make it in time and the vampires arrive to kill Kristen. Eben goes to save John, but as he approaches he realizes that John is also becoming a vampire. Fortunately, there is an axe nearby which Eben uses to defend himself, allowing him to kill John. Eben then rushes back into the house, where he collapses from an asthma attack. Outside, Marlo finds John's body and realizes that people are nearby. Moments later, it is Stella's turn to stand guard, and Isaac takes the opportunity to leave the basement. Stella and Wilson hear the door and immediately go after him, convincing him that trying to reach the town on foot is a bad idea. A few seconds later, however, they hear a noise and discover that the door is locked. Wilson opens the lock and discovers that Isaac has escaped through the window, so Wilson chases him and pushes Stella away when she tries to stop him. Eben hears the commotion and goes down to check on Stella, but just then a vampire enters the house and the two hide in the bathroom, but as he is about to open it, he hears Wilson calling to his father outside and decides to go after him. As Wilson is killed, Eben and Stella rush back to the attic, feeling guilty for abandoning their friend. Suddenly, thunder is heard from the roof. Eben looks through the window and confirms that not only are the vampires gone, but that it is snowing heavily. Using the wind and snow as cover, the survivors go to the local store to gather whatever supplies they can. The survivors prepare to leave, but find that it has stopped snowing, so they will have to wait in the store for another blizzard. On day 18, Eben points out that they must leave because the vampires will soon reach this area. The tunnels are still too far away, so they decide to go to the police station, but they need a diversion. They realize that the vampires sent the stranger to cut the power because they could not go out during the day, and Eben remembers that Helen had UV lights in the house for her plants, so he will fight the vampires with those while the others escape. Eben runs out of the house, making a lot of noise to get the vampires' attention, but one of the creatures follows the fleeing group and jumps on one of the survivors. The group has no choice but to leave him behind and flee, making it to the police station. The vampires surround Helen's house, and Marlo allows Iris to go first, but as soon as she steps inside, Eben attacks her with glowing UV light, so they go to destroy the generator to turn off the lights. Eben escapes out the back door while keeping his group updated via walkie-talkie, so Bo tells them to run to Rogers Avenue. Marlo sees Iris in pain and gets permission to feed on her so she can die in peace. The other vampires follow Eben, only to be suddenly run over by Bo driving a drill. He shoots everyone who tries to jump on the vehicle, but soon there are too many and Bo decides to crash the vehicle into a building. He then exits the vehicle with a box of explosives in his hand. Eben watches as the explosion takes out a group of vampires before fleeing in pain. As he exits the building, Marlo calls him pathetic and kills him by crushing his head. On day 27, they notice a light coming from a nearby house. Eben and Stella go to check it out and are shocked to find Billy standing next to the bodies of his family he killed to save them from the vampires. He wanted to end it too, but he ran out of bullets. Eben scolds Billy for not even trying to save his family before the three return to the station only to find it empty. The trio assumes that the others have gone to the tunnels and starts to head there. Stella rushes to get her and get her under the house before a vampire appears, so Eben decides to distract him to give the others a chance to escape. However, Billy runs in the other direction out of fear, drawing the attention of another vampire. Eben manages to make it safely to the tunnels and rejoins the others, but is concerned when he realizes that Stella and Gale have not yet arrived. Marlo gathers the vampires and reminds them that the humans must not know of their existence, so it is very important to find every single survivor and kill them all. Billy arrives at the tunnels, unaware that a vampire is following him. The beast bites Billy and the group rushes to help him when they hear the screams, almost throwing him into the meat grinder. Billy jumps on the creature and pushes him into the grinder first. To make matters worse, Billy begins to transform, so Eben has no choice but to kill him as well. On the 30th day, the survivors begin to celebrate the fact that the sun will soon rise. Eben finally manages to contact Stella on the walkie-talkie, and she tells him that she and Gale are hiding under a car nearby. So he asks Stella to wait under the car until morning so they can watch the sunrise together. However, the vampires are tired of waiting and use the oil that Bo's bulldozer has been spilling all over town to start a fire. If Stella and Gale stay under the machine, they will burn, but if they come out, they will be killed, so he uses a syringe to draw blood from Billy and inject it into his own body. As Eben begins to transform, he greets Jake with a hug, then goes outside and challenges Marlowe to a one-on-one fight. Marlowe accepts and easily begins to beat Eben, but the distraction gives Stella and Gale a chance to escape. Eben's body continues to transform, and as Marlowe is about to deliver the final blow, Eben's eyes turn black. He uses his new vampire strength to bash Marlowe's head in, killing him instantly. The other vampires flee, but Eben does not pursue them because it is almost dawn. Stella realizes that the sunlight will hit Eben. The couple share one last kiss as the sun rises, turning Eben to ashes in Stella's arms. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel grow. Thanks for watching.